Hello, my name is Erin Allison, and I am a graduate student at West Liberty University and a member of Dr. Zachary Loafman's Crayfish Conservation Lab. My thesis focuses on the human dimensions of conservation, specifically advocacy for crayfishes found in the southern Coalfields region of West Virginia. My thesis committee members include Dr. Zachary Loafman, Dr. Karen Cutler, Sydney Burke, and Audrey Sykes. If you consider conservation through the lens of human society and you ask yourself, what are the animals that the general public really loves to conserve? You might come up with answers like elephants, tigers, whales, dolphins, bears. These animals tend to be large mammals and are regarded as charismatic megafauna. These animals tend to be used as a flagship species by organizations to garner public support. One example of this is the giant panda used by the World Wildlife Foundation. However, there are many animals that go unrecognized by the public, and conservation needs are very important for all species. Bats are a group of animals that are suffering widely from white nose syndrome and experiencing great decline. However, the general public doesn't tend to support bat conservation in the same way that they do giant panda conservation. Giant pandas are no longer listed as endangered. So my thesis is meant to gain public support for some of those less recognized animals. Crayfish are an animal group that are perceived as bait from those who have experienced fishing with crayfish, or food as a cultural significance in this regard. However, crayfish are not really recognized as an ecological significant animal. My thesis takes on a pilot study for Project Crawdad, which is an environmental education curriculum designed for students. West Liberty University's lab has been doing a lot of research in southern West Virginia, specifically the Coalfields region. This region is unlike any place I've ever visited before. It's characterized by very steep mountains and very narrow valleys. It was originally inhabited for the purpose of coal mining. This region has a rich history of mining for coal, and that has taken a toll on the ecosystems. Two endemic crayfish found in southern West Virginia are federally listed. The Big Sandy River crayfish, Cambarus calenus, is federally listed as threatened, and the animal on the top. The Guyandotte River crayfish, Cambarus veteranus, is federally listed as critically endangered, and this animal here on the bottom. The photo behind the crayfish and the map is a picture I took of acid mine drainage. While the colors are vibrant, it's a very bad thing for crayfish that live in streams and a variety of other aquatic life. In order to conserve these species, a species management plan has been developed with three main pillars. Habitat restoration involves creating large slab boulders that these animals like to live under. As it stands, there's a lot of sediment in the streams in which these animals inhabit, which has embedded these slab boulders. Captive breeding efforts are underway to increase populations. The goal of these two pillars are to create natural corridors and robust populations for these animals to make their way into larger, healthier rivers. The third pillar of the species management plan is education and outreach, which is where my thesis comes into play. The goal of this pillar is to spread knowledge and awareness of crayfish conservation, specifically for these two endemic crayfish that are native to southern West Virginia. The objectives and goals of Project Crawdad, an environmental education program, is to promote environmental literacy and stewardship of students that are found in a geographically isolated area. These opportunities will provide students with exposure to the STEM career field and give them the opportunity to interact with professionals that work in conservation. The overarching goal of Project Crawdad is simply to create conservation awareness and crayfish knowledge found in Appalachia. Project Crawdad is a pilot study, so it's going to be a small scale launch in order to be fine tuned and revised for an effective full scale launch, where it will be made available across the region and then go on to be made available to elementary schools across the state of West Virginia. Project Crawdad is a module, which means it's a series of 5 lesson plans that will be designed for 3rd grade students. Each lesson will align with education standards, and the program will be teacher-led and adapted for virtual, in-person, and hybrid learning so that it can be made available to all students. These lessons will include an outdoor component and a stream exploration day where students will be able to get in the stream and learn about ethical sampling working alongside members of West Liberty University's Crayfish Conservation Lab. They will learn to appreciate the macroinvertebrates found in the stream and learn how to ethically catch them. 3 elementary schools in southern West Virginia will participate in this pilot study. This summer, there will be a teacher workshop that teachers will attend in order to learn about the program and how to carry out each lesson plan. The purpose of this is to increase the teacher's efficacy in leading the program. Teachers will receive continuing education credits for their time dedicated to Project Crawdad. At the teacher workshop, teachers will receive a craw kit, which will include all module materials and student swag. Students will receive t-shirts, drawstring backpacks, stickers, and nature journals to raise awareness of crayfish and carry them throughout the program. Within this craw kit, there will be our 2 mascots that will be featured on a lot of the content. Sandy, Cambarus calenus, is the mascot on the left, and Brett, Cambarus veteranus, is the mascot on the right. Having 2 mascots of different species emphasizes that crayfish are not just one species and that there's different species that have special ecological functions. The goal of creating mascots is that when students or individuals catch a crayfish in the stream, they might think of Sandy and Brett and be able to relate to them as more than just a little bug in the stream. These mascots will be shared in Project Crawdad content and materials, but it will also be shared with Hatfield-McCoy Trail System, which is a partner that we work with throughout our research. This trail system is a main hub of industry in southern West Virginia, so these mascots will be featured on signs that advocate for trail riders to stay out of the creeks and on the trail. They will also be featured on t-shirts sold by Hatfield-McCoy Trail System. Project Crawdad will be assessed through pre and post tests that students will take before and after each lesson, as well as before and after the duration of the program. This data will be analyzed through descriptive statistics and other exploratory analyses. By May, all 3 elementary schools will be selected to participate in the pilot. This summer, there will be the teacher workshop, and then in fall is when Project Crawdad will be implemented in the school system. The future directions of Project Crawdad include a full-scale launch in southern West Virginia, where this program will be made available to all elementary schools across southern West Virginia. Eventually, this program can go on to be made across the state. And it will be expanded to have renditions for middle and high school so that there are different levels for each school. The goal of Project Crawdad is to raise conservation awareness and knowledge of crayfishes, which is a group of animals that are not recognized by the public as worthy of conservation.